In this episode, we're going straight for the jugular, discounting. Because discounting feels like a shortcut, but it's really an anchor to the bottom. You think you're closing deals faster, but what you're really doing is shrinking your revenue, training buyers to wait for handouts, and quietly eroding your brand's power. Every quick 10% off tells the market your full price isn't real. Every end of quarter deal teaches customers to delay. Every just this once eats away at your confidence and your margins. In this episode, I'm breaking down the hidden costs of discounting, the psychology behind why we do it, and how to stop using it as a sales crutch. You'll learn how to hold the line on price, build urgency without pressure, and turn your conversations into confident, high-value closes the Rascal way. If you've ever felt that pit in your stomach before dropping a discount, this one's for you. Why discounting is the most expensive mistake in sales. According to ProfitWell, every 1% drop can cost you up to 11% in revenue over time. A couple of years ago, I had a rising sales leader come to me to talk about a deal. And what she said to me is, Michelle, we had to give them a 20% discount to close the deal. And I asked her if she realized that 20% discount might cost the company 200% more over the lifetime of the customer. You see, according to ProfitWell, every 1% price drop can slash your long-term revenue by up to 11%. So why are so many salespeople and rising sales leaders hooked on discounts like it's oxygen? Well, today we're going to be talking about why discounting is the most expensive mistake in sales and what to do instead. It's time for Rascal Rant, unfiltered truth, straight talk, no fluff. So the Rascal Rant for today is that discounting isn't a failure, it's a signal. And here's what I see all too often is that discounting becomes the fallback when something earlier in your process just didn't land. Whether that's your sales training, your pricing strategy, your product narrative, or even your team's internal money mindset. Confidence in pricing doesn't just come from a rep believing in themselves. It's built from solid sales training, a pricing model that's been stress tested, proof, testimonials, case studies that your product actually delivers, and a clear narrative around value. I can remember one of my, I think it was my second sales job, second or third, have to go back and check, was with Thomson Reuters. And ever since I worked for Thomson Reuters, the bar of what sales training and competitive education looks like has never been the same. And I have strived my entire career of owning my business to provide sales training to that caliber. Now, what did it do for me as the sales rep? So I remember when I got this job, I was the youngest person who had this role. I was fired up, so excited to show them that they didn't make a mistake, that I was going to rock it. I was going to compete in the country's top competitive market. And when I was shipped out to New York for sales training, it was a week in a hotel, 8 hours a day of studying, not just the product I was selling, but competitive as well. Understanding the competitive landscaping, understanding the pricing, understanding what it will take for me to have, which I did receive, the most competitive knockouts that year in that territory. Had that been skipped, I don't even know what would have happened. All I know is I would have stumbled. I probably would have gone straight to discounting for everything. And in a super competitive market, it's really easy to be like, I'll slash all my prices, competitive knockout. There we go, right? I didn't have to do that because I was educated on the product, why someone would want our product over the others, and equipped to give an absolute killer demo that would show all of those things. So this is really, really, really mission critical that you understand the psychology of someone who is selling and why they would leap to discounts. All right, so back to those pillars. When those pillars are weak, underdeveloped, not educated, reps feel the pressure to just give something. They have run out of resources, they don't know what to do, and that's when discounting starts, right? So that's when I like to call the discounting trap starts. Now, let's talk about signaling. When you slash a price, you often send an unintended message. Buyers will begin asking, well, what's the real price? What else can I negotiate? And it opens the door to more pushback. Clarity and transparency beat discounting as a trust lever every single time. So here's a key truth backed by data. And you'll notice this is you're going to want to study my podcast. This is not something that you listen to once and you're like, oh yeah, got it. This feels great. Here we go. Like I'm literally intending these podcast episodes, my solo episodes, to be studied. I want you to feel like you are in my private mentorship program. I want interaction. I would love for you to email me and give me your feedback on these episodes or connect with me on social. So I hope that you listen to this podcast not once, not twice, and I also hope you share it. All right, so here is more data. Customers acquired via heavy discounts tend to churn at a much higher rate. In fact, research shows discounted customers have up to double the churn rate of full price customers. Greg Dane's citation there. Or at least 40% higher churn risk, according to WinSavvy benchmarks. The revenue you just celebrated might walk right out the door in 6 to 12 months. So when you hear someone say, we had to discount, what's often happening underneath is we didn't dig deep enough in discovery. We didn't tie their pain, future vision, and urgency tightly enough to our outcomes. And when the call is rushed, value is diluted. I can't tell you how many times me myself have gotten on a sales call with someone who's trying to sell me something, and because I am who I am, I tend to like rush through the sales call, just trying to get the information I need so that I can make my decision. Now, that's really not the best for the person trying to sell me something because I'm not giving you enough time to dig deep, go into the pain, my future vision, and tie that back to some type of urgency. So it is your responsibility as the seller to hold space for even type A dominant personalities like myself so that you have the opportunity to truly discover during the process. So what happens is buyers end up thinking in dollars rather than transformation. So here's my rascal perspective. Discounting isn't the fill-in. It's a signpost. It's pointing to the places in your pricing, narrative, discovery, and money mindset where there is gold to be unearthed. Follow that signpost of curiosity. Don't bury it in shame. Okay, like no shame game here, right? Do that and your pricing will hold firm. Your value will land clearer and your customers will stay longer. And, I'm coming at these episodes and Revenue Rascals as a CRO. So what do I look at when it comes to growth? Well, CROs are responsible for more than just sales. Okay? So you have sales, marketing, customer success, and rev ops. So you'll notice as I'm educating through this podcast and the things that I'm talking about is everything is intertwined. And when you try to silo, it doesn't work. Like business isn't what it was, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 30 years ago. And the fastest growing role is a CRO when it comes to anything rev related. And the reason why is because CEOs, business leaders, CROs are now realizing how intertwined everything is. Like it's great if you get a big deal in, but if you can't keep them, do you know how much you had to spend to get them? We really have to think through these things. Welcome to Why This Works and Why It Doesn't. Real strategies, real results, no sugarcoating. All right, here is our tactic analyzed. End of quarter discount pushes. Super popular. I mean, everyone gets excited at the end of the quarter, especially the end of Q4, where some businesses are looking to liquidate cash that they have on hand to lower their tax liability, or they're getting excited to take on a new project when they come back in January. Like the momentum is really, really there. People love buying in Q4, especially B2B, but even my BDC friends that are listening right now, when it comes to things that they can gift or invest in themselves for the new year, makes a really, really big difference. So we're going to talk about end of quarter discounting. It's a really, really common practice. Like I'm sure, I mean, even I've done it. I just know better now, right? And you'll know better too. All right. So why it works is that on the surface, it creates urgency. It's like, save this money, buy by X date. And I can remember when I first started my business, and like I'm going on my 6th year, and this was all the rage, right? Was about creating urgency through price and time. And if you think about it, I mean, it makes sense from a sales psychology standpoint. But what has happened is the consumers, both from a B2B standpoint and a B2C standpoint, just know it's a load of baloney. So if you advertised that price, 99% of the time you can negotiate with someone to keep that price. And this is like a really, really important piece of the puzzle. For you to understand that buyer behavior has dramatically changed. So these end of quarter discounts, they don't really work anymore as intended. And they're really risky for you when it comes to building sustainable, scalable, predictable growth. Okay, so why it works on the surface is that it creates urgency, but we know that it doesn't, right? But this is why people think it works, is that it helps teams hit numbers today. Now, if you've ever led a sales team before, you know that it is a great day when your team hits the numbers and you're going home, you're driving home, you're walking out of your home office and you're like, yeah, we did it. We hit all of our numbers, right? But at what cost? And we really need to think about that as leaders. And we also think like, oh, great, it gives the buyer a feeling that they've won by negotiating, right? They're like, oh, yeah, like I feel good about this purchase, or do they, right? Because we just talked about, what does the data say? The data says that, yeah, maybe they have a honeymoon phase where they're like, yeah, this was fantastic. But at the end of the day, they churn faster and they're not as loyal. And the future of business growth is in loyalty. It is in your tribe. It is in your reputation, because there are so many people that are going to compete with you. It's so fast to come out of the gates with a new business or a better product or whatever it can be. So the loyalty factor is so mission critical here, not just for them to stay as clients, but are they sharing your product with their friends? What are they reaching to do for you? How do they support you? How do they talk about you, your product, your business? It's really, really mission critical. Okay, so when you zoom out, why is this actually not working for you and your company? And honestly, if you're a sales rep listening right now, every time you discount, that's less commissions, okay? Unless there's some special spiff, that helps you overcome it, like, it doesn't work for anybody, right? Now, this is the thing. What it actually does is it trains buyers to wait until quarter end every time, or any period of time. Like there's this one brand that I love, that I absolutely love, Aviator Nation. Love them. I mean, it is the best sweatsuits like you can find anywhere. They're buttery soft. Even if you're in a sweatsuit, you feel dressed up. I absolutely love the brand. But I will tell you, I always know that they're going to deliver a 20% off flash sale like every couple of months. So I just wait. I will absolutely never pay top dollar or full price for an Aviator Nation anything, because I know that they will discount. So they're also really expensive luxuries. It's an interesting strategy. So, clearly they're rocking and rolling and they're doing their thing. But for me, I always wait. So as long as Aviator Nation is fine, and I don't think I'm the only one, anyone who buys from them consistently is going to know that there's always going to be a discount around the corner. Maybe they build that into their pricing model and that is their strategy. But regardless, it trains people to wait when they know something like that is coming. In many cases, it can erode long-term trust. Buyers will question if pricing was ever real. And this happens a lot in like advanced funnels or large B2B deals. It's like, am I getting the best deal? Because I know you negotiate, because I have been trained to know that based on this company. I see promos, I see discounting. And it just erodes trust over time. And it also makes you question your pricing structure and what you pay to work with that company. And it will motivate you to negotiate. As a reminder, again, when we actually dig deep, is that discount acquired customers churn significantly faster. And studies show up to 2 times the churn risk compared to full price buyers that I cited before. And the biggest thing I want to talk about right now, like in all of the sales teams that I have trained, I have a saying that I feel, and I know to my core, is 100% correct. And that is, deals are won and lost in discovery. Now, I'm going to tell you why right now. Discovery is so mission critical because when you create urgency, based on things like I just talked about, like just discounting because it's the end of the quarter, right? Like that helps you close a deal for you. You might feel good because you think the customer feels good about it. But at the end of the day, it just means that you use discounting because you weren't able to discover anything of urgency that actually mattered to the prospect. And I say this over and over again with everyone I've ever trained is that, well, what does the customer care about? What does the customer care about? What would drive their faster decisions if you knew something? You didn't go deep enough in discovery. And when I go and listen to all of the sales calls I've ever listened to, which is thousands at this point, when discovery is too fast, even when you have all of the buying signals and people are excited and they're like, yeah, I'm here. Take a step back. Do what the top 1% does. Now, I came across this post the other day, and the post is from Patrick Trumpy, and he is the CRO at TaskBase. And we will make sure that we link to this post and give him credit because, oh my goodness, this hit it on the nail so well that you have to go and read this, okay? So we'll link that. Go ahead and put that in the comment section, or not the comment section. We'll go ahead and link that in the show notes so that you can see it. And Patrick, if you come across this, great job, okay? Now, what he talks about is what only the 1% does, and that means that you are digging deep. You're digging deep in discovery. So I'm going to summarize and use my own example, but I definitely want you to go back and to read that post. So when I say deals are won or lost in discovery, this is exactly what I mean. Most salespeople stop way too early. They ask 1 or 2 questions, get a decent answer, and think, got it, they have a problem. Then they race to the demo or the next step of the sales cycle. But the truth is they didn't find the problem. They found the symptom. Discovery is about curiosity that earns you access to the real story. It's the difference between a polite sales call and a powerful sales conversation. Let me go ahead and paint you a picture here. So you're in a discovery call and you start with, what inspired you to explore this right now? The prospect says, we're looking for tools that make our team more efficient and improve conversion rates. Most salespeople nod, take a note, and think, perfect, that's my cue to show the product. That's where about 70% of calls go wrong. But a great salesperson, a rascal, gets curious. Efficiency is a big goal. Can you give me an example of where your team's losing time or momentum right now? Okay, this is the deal. Now the truth starts to peek out. They spend hours updating notes and moving data around. By the time they follow up, half those leads have gone cold. Can you relate? Most reps would think, got it, follow-up problem, and start pitching features. But the best salespeople know that there's more. If follow-ups are slipping through the cracks, what does that mean for your pipeline overall? It's inconsistent. Some months we hit numbers, others we miss by a lot. It's frustrating because the efforts are there, the consistency isn't. Now, you're starting to feel it, but there's one more layer that unlocks urgency. You ready for it? Okay, help me understand what happens if nothing changes. What's at stake if this same problem shows up next quarter? And that's where you get the truth. We missed our revenue target by nearly $200,000 last year. It's affecting bonuses, and my CEO is losing patience. That right there, that's the moment. That's urgency. That's emotional ownership. You didn't create it with a deadline or a discount. You revealed it with curiosity. That's what separates salespeople who close deals and those that chase them. Deals are won and lost in discovery because that's where urgency, value, and trust are born. When you slow down and you keep asking, not to interrogate, but to understand, buyers start selling themselves on the change. And that's when sales starts to feel effortless. And it also means you don't have to discount to close the deal. All right, so here's the rascal fix. You still need to have negotiation skills. You need to still bring something to the table that is not a price cut in many circumstances. And I like to use these rascal fixes that I'm going to offer to you right now that avoid discounting and offer other things. It's really important for you to understand. I understand there's soft costs to these things, but at least it is not discounting off of the price. These things are so much easier to add in. You won't see the impact on your bottom line like you will with discounting. And it keeps people paying full price from day one. And, if you're on a 1-year contract, if you sell things that are on a 1-year contract and you have an automatic increase inside the contract, which I highly recommend, so there is no argument over this, then you'll start to see how it compounds over time that you didn't discount. Because even if you discount 10% off the first year and your renewals are only at 3%, you're still at that lag of 7 over year 2. So this is really important things to understand. One life real example that I'll give you is one of my past clients. I was helping them purchase Otter AI, and we were doing an enterprise level deal. So there was negotiation back and forth, speaking with the rep. It wasn't something that I bought off online. We had to go through some different features. And when I went to sign the contract and I saw that they have, this will automatically renew 5% every single year. I was like, yeah, every single contract. Like, why doesn't everybody do that? And I'll tell you about a lot of things. And I would say 50% do it. You 100% should do that. That means the customer knows it's going to go up, no renegotiation, renewal, and you're happy. Okay? So really, really simple things like that can be extremely profound. Now let's go back to the rascal fixes so we can see what we do instead of slashing the price. So value add instead of subtract. Offer customized onboarding, some training, an extra seat, or a strategy session, depending on what it is that you're selling. I can give you examples all of the time in just these brick and mortar places that I go to. It doesn't even have to be this B2B crazy strategy that everyone's overthinking, right? So if I think about it, I'll give this example. I boarded my dog for the first time and, I was a little bit late picking up and they're like, hey, no problem. Like, we're here. You can have the extra hour. I'm not going to charge you. You already paid full price for all of these other items. So that made me feel like, wow, like I'm not getting nickel and dime. They're giving me an extra bit of a window. I'm going to come back. I have loyalty. I'm a member. Like, think through things like this and how it sometimes when you do value adds instead of subtracts, it actually creates even bigger brand loyalty. Okay, the next thing is building urgency around their timing. And this is why discovery is so mission critical. Now, the example that I gave you ahead was how to dig deep, right? And I didn't give you an example of like around timing, but you saw what I was doing. You were digging deep. You were getting the pieces of information you needed so that you could time it back to timing. So for example, budget cycles, decision windows, seasonality, like not just hit this number, right? It's not you're just trying to hit your number. Like they don't care if you're trying to hit your number. What do they care about? Board meeting, a GTM strategy, a new product launch, like somebody's leadership's vacation could impact it. Like there is so many things that are more important to them that will drive the sale than you just worrying about hitting your numbers. All right, so the next thing is to anchor to outcomes, not features. Outcomes, not features. This will save your team 40 hours a month. What's that worth to you? Okay, that's amazing. Instead of saying, and by the way, the automations in the background will drag and drop and it'll happen instantly, like nobody cares, right? That's great that the product does that, but what does it mean to me? And if it's going to save my team 40 hours per month, oh my gosh, like I can't even quantify that. That's an amazing thing. So I don't necessarily care about the features. What I care about is the outcome. So that's how you can frame it, friends. Okay, so the next thing is tiered pricing. So a lot of times people will come to you and be like, I want it all. I want the gold. I want the diamond version. And quite frankly, maybe they don't need all of those features. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just need some of the features, or perhaps they need to dip their toe in to prove something works before they make a large investment. Well, this is amazing. This is why I loved tiered pricing, okay? Tiered pricing over slashing pricing, okay? This is where we love it. So for example, you have entry-level, pro, and premium tiers. You can find this basically on any SaaS product in the world, but you can use this to apply to anything. One of the very first courses I ever created, which is still partially like at my heart, probably one of my favorite ones, maybe because it was my first, but also it was so profound in the results people got. And it was about the power of 3. And that means there's 3 ways people can work with you, and they're priced accordingly for you to still hit your profit goals and other things that are important to, perhaps like time or team bandwidth. And they're still penciling, but you've designed them so that there's 3 options to work with you. And it's easier for people to say yes, get used to. And guess what? A lot of times they ascend. And if they don't ascend, how good do you feel that they were actually where they should be? And you're being able to serve them. That is also creates brand loyalty. The next thing here is you absolutely have to train for confidence. Role play objections and prepare reps to hold the line with clarity and empathy. Now, I will say it is really, really hard when you are the CRO, head of sales, CSO, sales manager to find the time to role play and to train. Most of the time, you're stuck in dashboards, you're creating strategy, you have one-to-one meetings, you're managing up. A lot of times training falls through the cracks. I have seen it myself and friends. It is the most critical thing for your team to be successful. Now, this doesn't just go for frontline salespeople. This is customer success as well. This is RevOps. This is potentially even marketing, because all of those pieces of the puzzles tie into your revenue machine. And I so strongly believe anyone who touches the product, customer, or client should be trained in sales training. So how do you make this easy? Survey your people. How do they want to learn? Do they want to have Zoom trainings? Do they want an outside expert? Do they want just like a Monday tip email every Monday from their sales manager that says, this is how you overcome this objection? Do they want offsites where it's like 3 or 4 days and you're going in deep and you're really improving your skills? It is really, really, really important that you talk to your teams, that you understand how they want to learn, because if you can't match how they want to learn, they will not learn, they will avoid the training, they will not retain, and all of the other items. But you absolutely cannot skip sales training, okay? So if you, the sales leader in an organization, don't have time, or perhaps that's not even your qualifications, then please hire somebody else or give funds to your team for them to go and get training outside. All right, rascals, let me ask you this. How much money have you wasted replacing shoes, sneakers, or even bags that could have lasted way longer if only you'd been taken better care of them? I know for me, running from meetings to kids' activities, life gets messy fast. And that's why I always have Jason Mark Quick Wipes on hand. Jason Mark is trusted care to help you get the most out of what you wear. They're not just about cleaning. They're about protecting what you love while protecting the planet. Their wipes are now 100% plant-based and plastic-free, made from renewable lyocell fibers. They're individually wrapped so you can toss them in your bag, your car, or like me, your kids' backpacks. And it's not just convenience. Jason Mark is part of the worldwide B Corp movement, meeting the highest standards for social and environmental impact. They're EPA Safer Choice certified, so you know the formulas are safe for your family. And their products are USDA, bio-based, and certified biodegradable. That means no harmful junk like PFAS or VOCs. Just high-performance care that keeps your stuff looking fresh while doing right by the planet. Personally, as a busy mom and entrepreneur, Quick Wipes are my favorite. They've saved my sneakers from coffee spills, playground dust, you name it. One wipe and I'm ready to walk into my next meeting looking sharp. So here's the deal. Go to jasonmark.com and use promo code RevenueRascals at checkout for 25% off your order. One time per customer. Again, that's jasonmark.com, code RevenueRascals. And remember, this podcast is free thanks to sponsors like Jason Mark. I'm ungating sales strategies people pay me 6 figures for. So go support them, grab your Quick Wipes or your favorite product, and keep your kicks looking fresh. You're in the coaching corner where we stop talking and start taking action. All right, now we're going into my favorite part, which is the coaching corner. These questions were submitted from my audiences on social media and to me via email. So when I go through these, I want you all to know I would love to hear from you. You can find me on your favorite platform. I'm everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Substack, LinkedIn, or you can email me at hello@michelleterpstra.com. And I would absolutely love to integrate your coaching question into one of my future podcasts. Okay, so question number 1, how do I compete if my competitors are discounting like crazy? I don't play the race to the bottom game. I want you to remember the data that we just shared on churn and profit loss, right? These are really mission critical. Like, do I even want to win you if I'm losing? Do I even want to win the deal if I'm losing? The answer should be no, even though that's a really, really hard pill to swallow when you just want to hit your quota, you want to close that next deal, or whatever it may be. But friends, please compete on the value narrative that I have taught you in this episode, and do not race to the bottom, because when you race to the bottom, you will lose. You will not succeed in the way that you want to. Period. Nobody wins by racing to the bottom. Like, unless you're Sheen. And that's about it, okay? So if you want to be disposable clothing and race to the bottom, then do you, boo, for Sheen. But this is not what I am teaching here, and this is not what the podcast is about. So what can you do? First of all, your discovery has to really be strong so you can create the value narrative. Use case studies, especially those that tie back to the ROI that person is looking for. And please don't focus on the features. Like, one of the classic old examples that I absolutely love is if you're selling a vacuum and you're like flipping the vacuum over and you're like, oh my God, and these bristles and this suction, it gets all the dust out of your carpet. You're going to love it. Okay, that sounds cool, but how do you sell on value versus feature? You know, I understand that your daughter has really bad allergies and that you have cats and dogs and you're really trying to control the dandruff. Now, let me show you that this vacuum can actually solve that for you. It pulls up 99% of all allergens in the air so your daughter can breathe lighter, healthier in her own home. significantly different. And I'd be willing to bet that if that's how you positioned it and your competitor next door didn't position it that way, just slash the price by 20%, you'd still win. So I want you to remember that. Also, let your competitors burn margin because guess what? They're not going to last that way. And service is going to fall. The product isn't going to be as great because they're not going to have money to do it. And that person who thought they were getting the best deal ever is going to be your loyal customer or client before you know it. Okay. So position yourself as the sustainable partner. Okay. If you can do that, if you can say, I'm sustainable, we're here, we're investing in the product, these are the 5 things that are in the pipeline, and you focus on value, you will win every single time with the people that you want to win with. Okay. Remember, buyers who shop only on discounts churn faster and cost more. All right. Great question. Thank you for submitting it. All right. Question 2. Is it ever okay to discount? I'm going to say rarely, and only when it's tied to a trade-off that makes sense for the business. So faster payment, multi-year contracts, or a larger deal size. But please use this absolutely sparingly. It's really important that you communicate the full non-discounted price first, so the discount is contextual. It's really a critical piece of the puzzle. You use it as a strategic lever and never a fallback. Never a fallback. Frame it as a business exchange and not free money off. Like, happy to accommodate, but we're doing a 3-year contract, right? That has an automatic price increase embedded. Okay? So you have to think really, really carefully. And so my answer is rarely. Question 3. How do I train my team to hold the line on price? I touched on this a little bit, but I'm going to expand on it. The best way to do this is to role play common objections until responses are instinctive. Because what happens is it can be really hard. Like, you want to close the deal. Discounting is the easiest way to do it. So you have to literally rewire your team's brain. And the only way to do that is in repetition. If you think about anything in life, it's all repetition. You want a 6-pack, you can't just do like 5 sit-ups and then be like, I'll get you back in a few months. No, you have to do hundreds of sit-ups. It has to be consistent, right? So find the time. But I am going to warn you here, please don't overschedule meetings for the love of baby Jesus, because that really, really crushes, okay? So I need you to understand that there is some give and take here, and you have to find easy ways to train your team. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite ways that I love are podcasts like this, right? So send this podcast to your team, let them listen to it. Also, you as a sales trainer can create micro audio lessons that are easy for people to listen to when they're doing other things. Catch them in the hallway and be like, hey, did you discount on price, or you want to role play? Just kidding. Don't actually do that. That'll probably drive them crazy. Okay. But there's a lot of ways to do this. And also, I always believe that people are always doing what they think is best. So if your team thinks the quota is the most important thing at whatever cost it takes to close, which often means a discount, that's what they're going to anchor, and that's how they're going to try to be the best that they can. But if you explain churn or margin data to them and how it's hurting the company and potentially their bonuses or their future at the company, like, that will really change the way that they instinctively respond and will be discounting. And like I had said and mentioned before earlier in this episode, is explore tiered pricing. If you find yourself having to always discount, or you're like a discount rut, I want you to go back and really think about introducing some tiered pricing. And power of 3 is almost always the answer. The other thing is that your job as a sales leader or a revenue leader, even in marketing, friends, like, build your team's confidence by giving them the stories they need. I can't even tell you how many companies I've come into and, I don't know anything about the product yet. I'm like, okay, I did enough research to be dangerous to get the job, to get the contract, all the things, but now it's time for my learning, right? And when I walk into a business and I can't easily access success stories, testimonials, and the ROI data, why people are that's so frustrating. And it's really hard to sell. So it's really mission critical that somebody owns this within your organization. Let's bring it home. Rascal wrap-up time. Key takeaways and a resource to keep you winning. All right, discounting feels easy, but costs dearly. Customers who buy on discount churn faster and push harder. The fix: strong discovery, own your own money story, and pricing confidence through training. Now, there's one thing that we haven't had time to talk about yet, which I'm going to wrap up with this one, is the money story. Everyone has a money story. Everybody. There's not one person out there. So people who are selling for you, or if you're a founder selling your own things, you have your own money story. And I can instantly find your money story by watching you sell. Absolutely. So if you spend an extraordinary amount of time talking about products, features, value, and then when it comes to delivering the price, you skim over it super, super, super fast. And you're like, okay, great. And let me know if you want it. What that tells me is you're not totally confident in your pricing. Somebody was in your ear telling you to charge what you were to charge. That could be it, right? Also, you could have made a purchase that similar amount and regretted it. And so now you feel guilty asking other people for it. So you have to clear out these money stories. You have to understand them. And one of the easiest ways that I suggest doing this is if you take a piece of paper, okay? And if you're watching and not just listening, friends, this is the visual. Take a piece of paper. And I think we've all done this. We've done T-charts, right? We've done T-charts. Now, if you're just listening, audio only, y'all know how to do a T-chart. But if you want to jump on over to YouTube, you can see what I'm doing here. Just keep it super simple, friends. What's your trigger? What's your story? What's your new narrative? So what this looks like is if you were to review your own sales calls and you realize you avoid even giving pricing, you're like, I'll send you a proposal. I want you to write down, I avoided sending that proposal. And I want you to think about it. Why did you do that? Maybe you felt pushed before. Maybe you aren't confident with your pricing, right? So what's your new narrative? Your new narrative is, I charge exactly what I should charge, and I'm going to have this conversation while I have a captive audience during my sales call so that I can understand if we're price aligned and if there would be any objections so that I can go back, probably anchoring back to discovery, and know how to prove the value narrative to them so it's an easy yes. So these are really simple things that you can do. And we all have them, okay? We all have them, so you don't have to be afraid of them. You just have to address them and you have to change the way you're looking at things. Okay, so now to help you put this into practice, I created the Rascal Pricing Confidence Checklist and Brainstorm tool. It's a 1-pager and you can grab it on my Substack, and we'll go ahead and link that below for you in the show notes. Use it before your next call to check your confidence, brainstorm better discovery questions, and even script your no discount response. This way, you're walking in ready to hold the line. All right, rascals, skip the discounts, keep the margins, keep the confidence, and keep being a rascal. Thanks for listening to Revenue Rascals, where we turn bold ideas into predictable revenue and prove that breaking the rules can still build empires. If you love what you heard, do me a favor. Tap the links in the show notes to support our sponsors. They're the ones keeping this show free so I can keep ungating the 6-figure strategies that help you scale faster, lead smarter, and take more freedom home with you. And hey, if you think you'd make an incredible guest or know someone who's built something worth studying, email me at hello@michelleterpster.com. And until next time, stay sharp, stay bold, and stay just a little bit rascal.